Hello everybody, today I'm talking about the circulatory system. The circulatory system, it includes the study of blood, heart and blood vessels. Blood. First of all, we're talking about the blood. In blood, we're going to study their definition, composition, blood coagulation, disease, blood group and other body fluids. First of all, I'm talking about the definition. Blood is a vascular connective tissue. That means liquid in nature, and connective means connecting internal organ and having a group of cell. Tissue means cells, group of cells. So blood is a liquid which connecting internal organs and having a group of cell. So next we're talking about the composition. As per definition, blood having a two-part, liquid part and the cells. Liquid part also known as blood plasma, and cells known as the blood cells. And blood plasma is a 60% and the blood cells are found 40%. Blood cells also called blood corpuscle, and blood corpuscle or blood cells, in short they're known as BCs, and there are three types of blood cells: red cells, white cells and the other cells. Red cells also known as a RBC or red blood cell. White cell also known as a WBC or white blood cells, and other cells are also known as a thrombocyte. The other name of RBC is erythrocyte, WBC also known as a leukocyte, and the thrombocyte also known as a platelet. Next meanings: erythrocyte, that is RBC. Erythro means red and cyte means cell. Leukocyte, that is WBC. Leuko means white and cyte means cell. Platelet, that is thrombocyte, plate like cell. They are looking like a plate, having a shape like a plate. Now, so this is all about the blood. Having a blood plasma and blood cell further divide into RBC, WBC and thrombocyte. First of all, we're talking about the blood plasma. Blood plasma consists water, which is 90 to 91%, and the remaining part is inorganic ion, positive ion, negative ion, and organic proteins. First, we're talking about the inorganic ions. These are the sulfate and the phosphate, and positive ions are sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium, and the negative ions are the chloride and bicarbonate. Organic proteins are albumin and globulin. Albumin maintaining BCOP, that is blood colloidal osmotic pressure, and the globulin type of globulin protein is gamma globulin, which is known as antibody. And this is all about the blood plasma. Blood plasma also consists glucose and urea and some other proteins like fibrinogen. And next we're talking about the blood cell, in which first we're talking about the RBCs. RBCs is a biconcave in a shape and having a cave or depressed area from both sides, and having a length of 7.5 micrometer and width is 2 micrometer. One RBC having 23.5 crore of hemoglobin molecule. Hemoglobin having a two-part, heme and globin. Heme, in which iron is present in a ferrous stage, and the globin is a protein. Globin protein is made up of amino acids, that is AA, and there is a four chain of amino acid. Adult having a two alpha chain and two beta chain, and child having a two alpha and two gamma chain. One alpha chain consists 141 amino acid, and one beta chain consists 146 amino acid. Hemoglobin having a two-part, heme and globin. Heme, in which iron is present in Fe2 plus stage, and the globin is a protein which connected with the four rings. These four rings known as porphyrin ring, which further connected with the Fe2 plus iron, and which is further connected with the oxygen molecule. One hemoglobin molecule can connect with the four oxygen molecule. So we can say RBC transfer oxygen. One hemoglobin is attached with a four oxygen molecule and form oxyhemoglobin. RBCs are formed in a red bone marrow. This is a bone at the center part, a red bone marrow present, which responsible for the RBC formation. And RBC count is done in a cube. Each length of cube is of 1 centimeter, and we put in our blood in this cube and find the RBC count. So RBC are counted in millimeter per cubic centimeter or millimeter per cube. In male, okay, in male, RBC count is 4.6 to 5.6 million millimeter per cube, whereas in female it is 4 to 5 million millimeter per cube. For RBC formation, vitamin B1, B2, B5, B6, B9, B12 are required. In RBC, nucleus is absent because high storage of hemoglobin. In RBC, mitochondria is absent, so RBC not produce energy. Centriole are absent in RBCs. Lifespan of RBC is 100 days, but in rabbit it is lifespan of RBC is 120 days, but in rabbit it is 100 days only. And RBCs of camel having a nucleus, RBC have pale yellow color. And next we're talking about the WBC. WBC are of two type, granulocyte and agranulocyte. Granulocyte further divided in neutrophil, basophil, and eosinophil. The neutrophil, eosinophil, and basophil. Okay, and agranulocyte is further divided in lymphocyte and monocyte. Neutrophil is doing a phagocytosis, and basophil release some important chemicals like the serotonin, histamine, and the heparin. Basophil, okay, this is about basophil, and next is eosinophil, which protect from infection. And lymphocyte are of T type, of two type, T and B. They together form immune system of our body. And monocyte are also doing a phagocytosis like a neutrophil. So this is about the WBC. Next we're talking about the WBC, the killing the germs, so working as a soldier and known as a scavengers or cleaner. WBCs are formed in a tonsil, thymus, lymph, and a spleen. Antigen is harmful for body. It may foreign particle. Against antigen, our body form antibody which are produced from lymphocyte. And next we're talking about the thrombocyte. Thrombocyte is a 250th part of the cell, also known as a platelet. So this is about the thrombocyte, and this is about the composition. Next we're talking about the blood coagulation. Blood coagulation in human body, heparin preventing coagulation of blood. It acts like anticoagulant. Cut, whenever any cut on our body, the platelet are getting damaged and releasing chemical substances known as thromboplastin, which is in presence of calcium, convert thrombokinase, inactive thrombokinase into active thrombokinase, and this active thrombokinase is converting prothrombin protein into the thrombin protein, and this thrombin protein in presence of calcium ion converting inactive soluble fibrinogen protein to active insoluble fibrinogen protein. And this active insoluble fibrinogen protein is result in a clot formation. Because it is insoluble, so the all the blood cell getting clot, getting get in help in a clot formation. And prothrombin are formed in a liver. Clot is formed between 2 to 8 minute. Disease in which the clot is not formed is known as hemophilia, also known as a royal disease. And disease in which the RBC becomes sickle shaped, known as sickle cell anemia, due to mutation in a 6 amino acid of beta chain. This is valine amino acid which is going into the first position and forms sickle shape. The sixth position of amino acid is going to be changed with the first position. This is responsible for sickle shape. In this disease, RBC shape is reduced, which cause difficulty in breathing, especially on a rock or mountain. Next, we're talking about the disease. If RBC number is increased from the normal range, known as polycythemia. If RBC number is reduced from normal range, known as anemia. WBC normal count is 5,000 to 9,000, but if WBC count is increased very high than normal range, it is called as leukemia, which is kind of cancer. Next, we're talking about the blood group. Blood group are various we read in a blood group various topic like types, so ABO type, RH factor, blood transfusion. First, we're talking about types. And Skinner discover 16 types of blood groups, and ABO type of blood group having an A blood group, B blood group, AB blood group, and O blood group, and they have their special antigens. So on the basis of antigen, actually the blood group is given. So and blood group A having an A antigen, B blood group person having a B antigen, AB blood group person having a both antigen AB, and O blood group, that means no antigen or zero antigen, there is no antigen. Whereas antibody is just given opposite naming to the blood group and which is compatible with particular blood group. So A blood group person having a B antibody, B blood group person having a A antibody, and AB blood group person having a no antibody. Whereas O blood group person having both the antibody A and B. And RH factor given by Landsteiner and discover RH factor in rhesus macaque monkey, and RH factor present at it's indicated by RH positive. If it is absent, it is indicated by the RH negative. If father is RH positive and the mother is RH negative, then factor can move into the mother and stimulate antibody production in mother. But first pregnancy is normal, and during first pregnancy, mother produce RH positive antibody in mother body, causing fetus death in a second pregnancy. This is known as erythroblastophytalis. Blood transfusion in which the RBC having a membrane known as donor membrane, having a protein known as the antigen protein, and the A blood group person having an antigen A protein, and this is compatible with the opposite naming of or opposite kind of antibody, that is antibody B. But I'm in the next slide, I'm showing donor at the right side and the receiver at the left side. So here is a B is a donor having a B antigen which goes into the patient. Always remember, during blood transfusion, donor gives antigen actually into the patient body. So the donor is a B given blood and actually given antigen into the patient. So B antigen going into the patient, and this time the antibody B is compatible with A but not compatible with B antigen, so it's going to be clot formation, and which result in a death. And if A is donor, and in this case the antibody B is compatible already with the A antigen, and this time is same antigen in the patient, so there is no antigen antibody reaction. If the donor is a AB blood group person having a both antigen moving in a patient, and there is B antibody already there, and which is compatible with the A antigen but not compatible with B antigen, so antigen antibody reaction going on, so result in a clot formation. If donor is a O having no antigen, and this antigen is moving into the patient, and there is no antigen, so no antigen antibody reaction is going on. And if donor is a B, and that means the B antigen is moving into the patient, and if a receiver is also B blood group person, then both the antigen are same, and the antibody in the patient is A, which is compatible, so there is no antigen antibody reaction. And if a donor is a for B blood group receiver, in this case the antigen A is moving into the patient, and this time antigen A is not compatible with antibody A, so antigen antibody reaction going on, clot formation, result in a death. If the AB blood group person is a donor, then both the antigen are moving into the patient, and this time the antibody A is compatible with B antigen but not compatible with the A antigen, so antigen antibody reaction again going on, clot formation. If the donor is O for B blood group person, in this case the B blood group person have an antibody A, and there is no antigen, so no antigen antibody reaction going on, so compatible. And the next case, if the donor is A and receiver is AB, so the A antigen is moving into the patient, but patient AB blood group person not having any antibodies, so no reaction going on, no antigen antibody reaction. And another case, if B is a donor, in this case also antigen moving but no antibody, so no antigen antibody reaction going on. If donor is AB for AB blood group person, then antigens are moving but no antibody, so no antigen antibody reaction. And if O is a donor, again there is no antibody, and this time no antigen also, so no antigens, no antibody, no antigen antibody reaction going on. So AB can take blood from everyone because they, as a receiver, it have no antibody, and there is no antigen antibody reaction, so it can take blood from A blood group, B blood group, AB blood group, and O, so it's a universal acceptor. And if the receiver is O and donor is a AB having a both antigen moving into the patient, this antigen is reacting with a antibody which present in a receiver, that is B and A both antibody are present, so reacting together and result in a clot formation. And if donor is a and receiver is a O, in this case receiver having both the antibodies, so A antigen is coming and reacting with a antibody, so again clot formation. If donor is B for receiver O, this time B antigen is moving and reacting with a B antigen antibody reaction is going on. And another case, if donor is O and receiver is also O, this time no antigen are moving but antibody are there, no antigen, so no antigen antibody reaction going on, so it's compatible. So from our discussion, we can say the A blood group person can take blood from A and O, B blood group person can take from B and O, AB can take from AB and O, and O can take from O only, whereas as a donor, O can give to blood everyone, because O as a donor there is no antigen, so no antigen is moving into the patient, so no antigen antibody reaction is going on. So as a donor, O is amazing, but as a receiver, it having both the antibodies, so it can take blood from O only. So as a donor, it's amazing. So we can say the AB blood group as a universal acceptor, it's a universal acceptor, and O blood group person is a universal donor. And next, after that blood group, we're talking about the other body fluids. Other body fluids, plasma is equal to blood minus corpuscle, which is colorless, and serum is equal to plasma minus protein fibrinogen, which is yellowish in color, and the lymph is equal to blood minus RBCs and some large proteins, which is white in color. ECF is extracellular fluid, and lymphatic organ where formation of WBC occur, known as lymphatic organ. Example, spleen. This is the cell where surrounding area some fluid is present, known as extracellular fluid or ECF, which going through the vessels known as lymphatic vessel, which moving into the organ through this vessel, which known as a primary lymphatic organ or lymphatic organ, and where is the WBCs and antibodies are formed or found. Next, we're talking about the heart. We're talking about the general structure, working, circulation, disease, and the control and the terminology. First, we're talking about general chambered heart. The two-chambered heart is present in a fishes and also known as venous heart, and three-chambered present in amphibia, 3.5 chambered present in reptiles, and 4 chamber present in a human and aves, and but the exception is crocodile. It's reptile. Uh, Exception is a crocodile. Crocodile is a reptile, but still having a 4 chamber heart. So exception, crocodile having a 4 chamber heart, and mammals and aves having a 4 chamber heart. So next we're talking about the structure and working. We're talking mainly about the human heart having a 4 parts, 4 chambers. The upper chamber known as auricle, and the lower 2 chambers are known as ventricles. The upper 2 chambers, as per their position, known as uh, upper 2 chambers known as auricles and lower known as ventricle, as per their position as a side and known as right auricle and left auricle, and the lower position the chambers known as as per their position right ventricle and left ventricle, and they separated by the coronary sulcus, and the outer layer known as of heart or outer layer of heart is known as pericardium, which further having a fluid inside known as pericardium fluid, which further covered with the from inside is by mesocardium, and the innermost layer is known as endocardium. So at the right side, a tricuspid wall is present. At the left side, a bicuspid wall is present, also known as a mitral wall, and the heart is supplied from upper side by superior vena cava and from lower side inferior vena cava. The synod is present as a non A for auricle where so full form is sino-auricular node, which is initiated by the 10th cranial nerve, that is vagus nerve, and we can say SN node initiated by vagus nerve, and this black one is the vagus nerve which initiating SN node and generating impulse. This impulse is further moving into the another node known as AV node, A for auricle, B for ventricle, present between auricles and ventricles. So this node is known as auriculoventricular node or AV node, and through AV node this impulse further propagated into the bundle of His, and then through bundle of His it's again propagated in a fine fibers known as Purkinje fiber, and through Purkinje fiber the impulse moving in a whole heart and responsible for the contraction and relaxation of heart. And the left ventricle part of the heart is very thick because it's contracting and supplying blood to the whole organs. So its left ventricle heart is thicker compared to right ventricle. So next we're talking about the circulation in a heart. So 4 parts, and the deoxygenated blood is moving into the right auricle. Through right auricle it moving into the tricuspid wall, and through tricuspid wall it moving into the right ventricle, and through right ventricle through the blood vessel blood is going for the purification uh, from the lungs, and from the lungs it's getting oxygenated, and the oxygenated blood is again moving with the blood vessel and moving into the left auricle. Through left auricle it moving into the bicuspid wall or mitral wall, and then it moving into the left ventricle, and through left ventricle the purified blood is moving into the organs, and organ using this blood and blood is further mm, deoxygenated and moving again into the cycle. So there are two circulation. One is through the organ known as a greater circulation or systemic circulation, another through the lungs known as a lesser circulation or pulmonary circulation. So there are two circulation that together known as a double circulation. And there is one exception when the deoxygenated blood is moving into the lungs, and this time it moving through actually the artery. An artery generally consists oxygenated blood, but this time there is a deoxygenated blood, so this artery is an exception. The name of this artery is pulmonary artery. And another exception is there through the lungs, purified or oxygenated blood is moving into the left auricle, and this is going through the blood vessel, but this time this is a artery. This is actually vein, sorry, this is actually vein. So the vein generally consists deoxygenated blood, but this time the vein consists oxygenated blood. So this is another exception, and this is the name of particular blood vessel is a pulmonary vein. So this is the second exception. Next, width of heart is 5 to 6 centimeter, and the length of the heart is 6 to 7 centimeter. Heart having a modification of muscle which is known as nodes, and there are two type of node, SA node and AV node. SA node known as a pacemaker, AV node known as a pace setter. Sino-auricular and auriculoventricular node, they together known as the conductive system of the heart. And this tricuspid and bicuspid wall is connected with the muscle known as cardiotendony, and this is further connected with another muscle known as a papillary muscle. Next, AC node. AC node is a sino-auricular node which present at the top of the right auricle, and the heart is supplied by the blood vessel or artery known as a coronary artery, and the right systemic arc is present in a bird, and the left systemic arc is present in the human. SA node is not working for those patient. Pacemaker is not working, and in this case artificial pacemaker is used which having a lithium chloride battery, and for this patient or person there is no suggested to do MRI or magnetic resonance imaging because it affect the lithium chloride battery, and this battery is changed after every 10 years. So if we're talking about the cockroach heart, having a 13 chamber heart and 13 pair of alveolar muscle, heart sound are of two type, lub and dub. Lub sound due to closing of wall which present between auricle and ventricles, and dub sound is due to opening of the semilunar wall. And love sound is a fast and it's for the long time. Dove sound is less intensity and for short time. And one cardiac cycle is equal to one love sound plus one dove sound, and cardiac cycle between two cardiac cycle a space is present known as force where contraction stops. Next, we're talking about the scientist named Linek, who discovered the stethoscope, and which is useful for the measurement of heartbeat. And ECG is an electrocardiogram. Wherever as per the wording, electrocardiogram, it's just opposite meaning. Gram means a graph, and electrocardiograph, where is graph mean the machine. So whenever we saying electrocardiograph, that means we saying about the machine. Electrocardiogram having a PQRST wave, and which is one cardiac cycle and is of 0.8 second. PQ wave showing a auricular contraction, and QR wave showing passage of depolarization, and RS wave showing a ventricular contraction, and the STP wave showing a ventricular relaxation. If lub-dub sound is replaced by murmur sound, which indicate improper heart working. Heart rate is in normal adult heartbeat is 72 per minute. In 1 year child or infant having a heartbeat is 100 per minute. In a 60 to 65-year-old person, this is 60 per minute. In elephant, this is 20 to 25 per minute, and in rate, this is 140 per minute. BMR is directly proportional to heart rate. That means the basic BMR means basic metabolic rate. The rat having a very small body size and their basic metabolic rate is high, so their heart rate is high, where BMR is inversely proportional to body size. Example, elephant having a very high size, their basic metabolic rate is low, so their heartbeat is low. 1 beat is equal to 70 ml of blood pump. 72 beat is equal to 70 into 72 ml of blood pump, so which equal to 5040 ml of blood pump, that is approximately 5 liter. Is equal to vary, this cardiac output is vary from 4.8 liter to 5.3 liter in 1 minute. 72 beats, so it's a pump about 5 liter of blood, and which is known as a cardiac output, that is cardiac output, in short CO. The supply of cardiac output maximum into the brain 15%, that is 20% into the brain, and 15% into the kidney, 15% into the lungs, 10% in liver, 10% in intestine, and rest supply into the remaining body parts. Now, next we're talking about the disease. Angina, heart have less oxygen, intense chest pain. Heart failure, heart failed to pump, heart arrest, heart stop beating, heart attack, damage due to inadequate blood supply. Next, we're talking about the control, normally and moderately. Heart normally controlled, auto-regulated by nodal muscle, so that's why it's known as myogenic. And medulla oblongata moderately affect heart rate, as in which the system present known as ANS or autonomic nervous system, which is further divided into sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. Sympathetic nervous system increase the cardiac output, and whereas parasympathetic decrease the cardiac output. And one more hormone of kidney, that is adrenal medullary hormone, which also increase the cardiac output. Next, we're talking about the terminology. In terminology, mixing of pure and impure blood occur known as teratology of Ferret, and this is the heart. And due to improper separation or incomplete separation, the mixing of pure and impure blood is happen in a child in an embryo stage, which is known as teratology of Ferret. And after complete separation of auricles and heart chamber, there is no mixing. So this is the stage in which in a child after birth and after completion of 1 month, there is no mixing. My genetic heart is in which contraction occur through muscle, and human heart is the example of myogenic heart. Next, we're talking about the neurogenic heart. If this is cut and put into the glucose solution, their activity lost. This is of primitive character. Example: Annelida orthopoda. Next, we're talking about the circulatory system. We already talked about the blood and heart. Next, we're talking about the blood vessel. Blood vessel, in which we further we study on the basis of their general discovery, structure, difference, blood pressure, disease, and terminology. First of all, we're talking about the general. This is the organ and which is supplied by the special tubular structure. These are known as a blood vessel, and this system is known as a closed circulatory system present in a human. If the organ is supplied directly by the blood, this is known as an open circulatory system found in arthropoda and reptiles. Discovery. This is the blood vessel in which the blood is flowing, and this circulation on this system known as a circulatory system, and the wall are present. This wall and this circulatory system and blood vessel is discovered by the scientist William Harvey, and this is the blood capillary, and which is discovered by the scientist named RMLPG. And this is the blood vessel in which blood is flowing, and due to this some pressure is generated. This pressure is actually known as a blood pressure, and which is measured in a horse first time and by the scientist named Hales. And the next is the structure of blood vessel. The outer layer known as tunica externa, medial layer tunica media, and the internal layer is the tunica interna, and the inner hollow part is known as lumen. Next, we're talking about the difference between artery and vein. Artery having oxygenated blood except pulmonary artery, and a vein having a deoxygenated blood exception pulmonary vein. In artery, wall is absent. In vein, wall are present. In artery, blood flow with the pressure. In a vein, blood flow with a comparatively less pressure. Artery is red in color and vein is blue or green in color. Artery are deep situated, vein are peripherally present. Artery are non-collapsible, vein are collapsible. Next, we're talking about the blood pressure. Normal range 80 to 120 millimeter of mercury. 80 is a diastolic, that means during relaxation of heart, and 120 millimeter mercury is a systolic blood pressure when the contraction of heart. And diastolic pressure if lower than the normal range known as a hypotension. If systolic pressure if higher than the normal range known as hypertension. Next, we're talking about disease. Disease mainly we're talking about the hypertension, which is mainly due to arteriosclerosis and atherosclerosis. There may be other reason due to lifestyle and genetic reason. We're talking hypertension. First, we're talking how through the atherosclerosis, and there is a blood vessel deposition of lipid. So blood vessel volume decrease and blood flowing with a comparatively high pressure and higher than the normal range. So this is known as hypertension. And another reason of hypertension is atherosclerosis. They again deposition, this time deposition of nerve fiber. So again diameter reduced and blood flowing with comparatively high pressure. So these are the two reasons of hypertension. Next, we're talking about the lipid. There are two type: high density lipid, low density lipid. High density lipid also known as HDL, and which is harmless, and low density lipid is known as LDL, and which is harmful. This is harmful due to their structure difference. Next, we're talking about the terminology in which we're talking about the anastomosis and the varicose vein and the vasa vasorum. Anastomosis, in which this is the artery, and which getting further divided into arterial, and this is further divided into the capillary, and this capillary is further connected with another structure, fine structure known as venucle, and this whole structure further connected with the vein and this whole connected structure is known as the anastomosis. In a Greek, the anastomosis means shortcut. Whenever any artery get blocked for those artery, anastomosis is work and responsible for blood transportation. Next, we're talking about the varicose vein. So suppose a vein in which the blood is going to flow and going flow with the through the wall, and this time wall are proper, but if there is improper wall, the blood is flowing but again coming back and forms a regular clot, and this regular clot is in a vein, gives a appearance like necklace like appearance. So this is known as a varicose vein and generally found in anus. Next, we're talking about the vasa vasorum. This is the blood vessel on which a fine capillary arise and which given supplement to on blood vessel. This fine blood vessel known as a fine capillary known as the vasa vasorum. And this is all about the terminology, and this is all about the blood vessel, and this is all about the blood heart and blood vessels, and this is all about the circulatory system. One thing I'm missing is the blood function. Homeostasis is the function, that means blood uh, controlling pH, temperature, and concentration in our body. In one word, blood doing a homeostasis. So thank you for watching and subscribe for more.